Hey, beautiful people. I'm Tavy from BeautyBeyondYourHead.com, and I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Beauty Beyond Your Head TV. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Yes, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. That do something for me. Get me pumped, get my mind right, get me where I need to be. So I just watched the Breakfast Club's interview with the CEO Rick Dennis for Shea Moisture, and I wasn't gonna touch on this. I hadn't seen the commercial, so for me, I don't like to speak on stuff when I don't know what's going on. The gist of it was that they did a new commercial, and there weren't any black women, or the black woman didn't represent necessarily women with poorly kinky 4C natural thick hair. Everyday average black women, not mixed, not of any other nationality or descent other than African. Twitter went crazy, the internet went crazy over this, because people were feeling like Shea Moisture is selling out. A while ago, they were bought out, but the demographic has changed. Who they're marketing to has changed, which means 9 times out of 10 they're going to change the product. Charlemagne, he an asshole, but a lot of the things that Charlemagne says, I absolutely agree with. And some of the stuff he says is like, Charlemagne, what the is you talking about? He was on Mr. Dennis. He just he asked the questions that most people were thinking. Are you trying to expand, to a white market? Are you changing the formula because you're expanding to a white market? And so Mr. Dennis basically was saying, even though it's $1 billion industry, there's only a small percentage of those billions that actually come from or make up the African American population when it comes to the beauty industry. And then you have to expand your niche, your market, and the area in which you serve in order to compete, because of the bigger companies having more money, being able to have more traction and reach more ground. Here's my thing with that. There are billionaires out here who, if you go to them and pitch them 9 times out of 10, remember it takes money to make money, they will be interested because Shea Moisture is a staple in the black community. Most investors want to know, what is their return going to be? If I give you XYZ amount of money, how are you going to give me my money back? So why did Shea Moisture have to go into a partnership deal expanding with white corporations? I don't understand that. Help me understand that. Where Oprah at? Tyler Perry at? Where the black billionaires at? Why you ain't pitched to some black people? Why'd y'all go pitching to white companies? Because here's the thing. Pantene, for instance. I've used Pantene Relax Natural. I used it for quite some time before I jumped on Shea Moisture's bandwagon with everybody else. I do understand that these bigger companies have other brands. Most of their brands cater to white women, but now they see the natural hair is becoming popular, and over the years they put money into the black community when it comes to marketing. So there are only a handful of companies that are really black based. And so this is the thing with that. And he's saying, okay, well, in order for us to grow, we're not going to leave you, but allow us to expand so we're able to cater to you in other arenas. We need the money. In order for us to be able to get the money, we have to show that we're constantly growing. Our revenue stream is going up. We've expanded into lotions and soaps and baby care. We want to be able to serve you in all arenas, and then we show our investors, hey, we're making money. Give us the capital, we're going to flip it. Give us $10,000, we're going to turn it into 50. We're going to turn it into 60. We're going to turn it into 70. So I understand what he's saying, but at the same time, he was saying that the commercial slipped through the cracks, and so it wasn't necessarily approved before it came out, which doesn't make sense to me. They did like 40 commercials or 40 particular components to the marketing, and this was one small piece that slipped through. But what didn't make sense to me was, that the people who support you the most are black. Period. We support you because we feel like we don't have anything else. Everything is always oversaturated. Any niche that we ever get into, dancing, hair, anything that we get into is always overly saturated with the presence of other ethnicities. We don't ever have anything that is ours alone. We feel like you're talking to us. It's supposed to be a small personal company that caters to the black audience. What was the purpose of having white women in the commercial? And they're saying, okay, well, we haven't left you, but we want to expand. Basically, what that means is the black community not bringing in enough money. That's how I looked at it. Now, I could be wrong, but other than that, why do you feel the need to expand? Okay, yes, L'Oreal and Pantene and Paul Mitchell and Vidal Sassoon and Garnier and whoever. Most of these are sister companies. So get my point across. Let's say L'Oreal owns Garnier. Everything is branded and marketed under Garnier, but they are under the L'Oreal umbrella. And this is just me making a point. They have expanded their market niche, but their market is solely to white people. Their niche is white people, and they ride that white people lane. They make a few products. Pantene did not make a whole line. Relax and Natural consisted of shampoo, conditioner, and a cream, a moisturizer cream. There were no Pantene Relax and Natural perms, no Relax and Natural dyes, none of that type, no Relax and Natural soap. The point is they stick in their lane. Charlamagne was like, okay, well, why is it that every time a black company starts to gain some traction, they want to then buy out? And that's ultimately what happened. He was very, we apologize. It was a mistake. We haven't left you guys. We here for y'all. We just want y'all to understand. Those things should have came before the commercial. Y'all know that people have been talking about this company changing, selling out prior to now. Y'all know we asking questions. There's somebody right now that read everything that got anything to do with anything to deal with some black people and some hair. I think that it was damage control, honestly, because they saw how hard we went. I get it from a business standpoint, but basically with all that jargon and nice talking is what you're saying is that we ain't giving y'all enough money. So he was saying like, okay, well, we are over in Africa. We are sending people here to school. We are still in the community. We want to be able to expand. And it's like, why do we have to do everything to make white people comfortable? Why you just can't expand and it be that? Because white people's plights with their hair, unless they're mixed, and even then, their plight is not our plight. A brown-skinned woman with 4C hair as myself, a white woman, she don't need in her hair the things that I need. Like, so expanding is a beautiful thing, and I absolutely understand it because you want to be able to grow. But at the same time, you don't want to alienate the people who have been rocking with you since forever. You don't want them to feel like they don't matter, their money doesn't matter, our opinions don't matter. And he's saying, we're sorry. That's not what we meant. At the same time, I just felt like it was damage control because they are black-owned banks. Why do we feel like in order for us to grow or be, it has to be an inclusion type of thing? Like it's funny, Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, these people fought for equality. But it's like when they decided they wanted to be included, that's when we lost the boat. I'm fine in my black skin. With my nappy hair, I'm good. White people have white things that are always for them, period. Certain things don't have to be explained. Let me say that. I'm 33. Now, back when I was in high school, we had a lot of punk rockers. They wore black fingernail polish. They wore black hair. They may had a streak of pink. They had Van tennis shoes and t-shirts and skateboards. That wasn't popular in the black community, but it was acceptable in white culture. Fast forward, we started to dye our hair all these different colors. We ghetto. We started to get a bunch of piercings and things like that. And there's an issue with our presentation. They had the mohawk and it would be spiked and dyed. Nobody bothered them. They were never looked at any different. They were never disrespected or talked down to. I recently had read an article where they were saying like dreads weren't acceptable. It was like acceptable for you to be fired or not hired, acceptable, legally acceptable for you to be discriminated against because of how you style your hair. So mainstream society sets the tone for what's okay. And so a lot of people were feeling like Shea Moisture, y'all jumping on the bandwagon and make it seem like we don't matter, but we're the ones who held you down. The company is saying we made the mistake when it comes to the marketing, but here's what we're trying to do. We want to do more. We want to help other people that are benefiting from the company, their families, other countries. We are still the same company. We're still here to serve you. Nothing has changed about the product. If anything, it's gotten better because we are going into different niches that other companies are not. And it's like, yeah, I hear you. I see you. But y'all could do all of that with black money. Where the Carters at? Where Beyonce and them at? Where Oprah at? Where are the people who are movers and shakers within the black culture, who are major influencers? Where Floyd at? Floyd got money. Why couldn't you find an investor where you could move into other areas but still be solely for the black community? You want to move into other areas, other stores. Okay, that's fine. Move into those other stores, but why do you have to change the core of the company and who you cater to in order to be able to do that? DJ Envy basically was saying like, it's certain products that are available in other stores, and he tends to go to those products for his daughter's hair before Shea Moisture because Shea Moisture wasn't available. But even though he appreciates it, go where it's at. Go where it's at. And why do you have to change your demographic market in order for you to expand where you serve at? I'm confused. What? Like that's a whole distribution and what stores you are in is a whole nother department. I don't understand. I feel like it's a bunch of bullshit. Black women spend a lot of money when it comes to hair. We make up billions, and even though he claims, it out of those billions, we are only a certain amount of millions. Those millions make all the difference in the world. And without those millions, Shea Moisture wouldn't have been able to expand or do anything that you're doing now. I'm going to give you an example and then I'm done. Tyler Perry, when he started out, nobody was feeling him dressing like a woman in the plays and things like that. Tyler Perry blew up, through hard work. And by the grace of God, he blew up. And then he came into regular TV, primetime television. And he said, and I remember in one of his plays, at the end he would film. And he was like, I want to do some things with TV. I got some deals on the table, but unless they let me do it my way, I'm not going to do it at all. And that is the thing. We be so quick. We get on one. We get some momentum, and then you allow other people to dictate how you going to do your business, which doesn't make sense at the end of the day. Yeah, you want them billions. You want to expand, but expand in a way that you still have your dignity. Black people mad because they feel like you selling out. And at the end of the day, you can pack it up and put it in a nice box and put a bow on it, but that don't change the fact that you still basically selling out because you want to expand. That's what you're saying in a fancy way with all the jargon and all the numbers. That's basically what you're saying to us. No, we didn't change the formula. A lot of people singing the same song. I don't know, Shea Moisture. So let me know what you think. How you feel about this situation? Do you feel like they're selling out? All my business heads, let me know, peeps, what you think. Are they really selling out? Was it a bunch of jargon? If you've seen the interview, let me know what you think. Charlamagne makes somebody sick, but he really, 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 really was hitting them. Everybody else was like, yeah, I understand. Yeah, no. Charlamagne like, nah, I'm riding for my black sister. So kudos to you, Charlamagne. We really appreciate that. I know I did because you were able to ask the questions that people wanted to know. Let me know how you feel, what you think. Are you still using Shea Moisture? Listen, I got all kinds of Shea Moisture stuff upstairs that I'm using. I'm not going to stop using it. What is that? That hibiscus with silk protein, listen. That coconut, yeah, listen. I put that in my hair before I braided it down. I ain't ready yet. I ain't ready to give up. But y'all do need to get y'all shit together though, Shea Moisture, for real. Because it was a very personal hit. And we feel like at this point, y'all just doing damage control. Y'all better grab y'all ankles.